Okay, good morning. Stock market technical analysis for Monday, October 18th, 2021. We're going to get right into the charts. Okay, so the things that we've got going on, and I talked about why I wasn't really interested in being fully committed short on the triple Qs because of this SPY chart. And looking at the weekly chart, again, coming off your 2009 lows, this red trend line here has been your bull market trend line. We broke in 2018. The Fed, did their best to get us to recover that trend line. And so far, as I zoom into kind of 2021 timeframe, they've done that. We've recovered that trend line. Now we're just continuing to grind higher. Last week, we came down to that trend line right there, but weren't able to break it. And that's what I pointed out why I wasn't interested in being fully committed to a short position. We did capture most of that small correction in the triple Qs. But again, I wasn't really interested in being fully loaded or really willing to stick with the short trade until the SPY breaks this trend line. So again, that's what I'm looking for, a weekly breakdown on this trend line. When we get that, and it will come at some point in time, then we'll have, we'll likely have a bigger trade on our hands that we'll be able to trade for a much larger position. But until that happens, looks like SPY is, going to grind and continue to make new highs. Those will be divergent highs on the weekly chart. As I zoom in, you can see here, we have negative divergence. See how the momentum is dropping off, and yet we continue to kind of make higher highs in price on the weekly chart. But again, negative divergence isn't a reason to just get short. It's merely an indication that tells you that the conditions are there for a correction or a pullback or even a crash. So that's something I want to point out. Till I see that trend line go, we've got to continue to just work with what the charts are giving us. So on the triple Qs, which is your tech sector, again, we came down. We hit this uptrend line that I had marked out in blue. But the thing that I was really looking for, I was originally looking for a bigger pullback down to this 342. I'm just not seeing it right now. And I don't see that breakdown in the triple Qs. Also on the hourly chart for the triple Qs, we had bullish divergence showing up. Pointed that out. It basically started to show up right there. So there's your bullish divergence on the hourly. And I talked about how that was, could give us a bounce. Could be the end of the correction. So again, I haven't been short for a few days now. And I don't see a reason to be short right here and now, at least in the triple Qs. The general market indices. Okay, so looking for bigger breakdowns. Until then, we've got, it's just bullish in general. So where do we go? Well, we could be running up to make a new all-time high. That's really all that I see as of right now. I think we're probably going to get some sort of a pullback, but I don't know if that's going to be, if that's going to really break us back down towards this target, 342. So not super confident on that one as of right now. On the weekly chart, we still have big negative divergence on the triple Qs that's been building since August of 2020 right here. And it's there on the PPO and the RSI. So pretty much all of August of 2020 and all of 2021 has been divergent highs. We've had negative divergence building on the weekly while prices continue to grind higher. Again, negative divergence is not a reason to short. It's just a mere indication that the conditions are right for a bearish position. But we need to see breaks of these trend lines, and until we see those bigger picture sell signals, we could continue to build this negative divergence. Eventually, we're going to get some sort of big sell signal, and it's likely going to prove to be the high in the market. But I just don't have it yet, so. Got to just continue to wait for it. Again, I'm not really interested in being long the triple Qs because of this negative divergence. It's just, the conditions are there for a downside move, and I'd rather be more interested in being long when the conditions are proper for an upside move, which is what I like in the gold stock. So let's move on to gold. And gold bullion still holding support. Let's go to the daily chart here on gold bullion. You can see that we have, coming off 2018 time frame, clear uptrend line in the daily. Each and every tag of this we've held. So, we're still above it, just moving up. The trend is higher right now in gold. The miners have been selling off pretty good, but they've all started to reverse. And so to me, they look like one of the better long trade setups is in these miners. Here's GDX. Again, we had a bullish falling wedge, which is marked here in blue. You can see it. Continued to work our way lower, but as we started to get down towards these low prices, started to put in bullish divergence, meaning trending higher in momentum, not in price. Again, if you're unfamiliar with these concepts, check out my technical analysis course, link in the description below. All right, so then we hit kind of this support area, and we've broken out of this bullish falling wedge. So there you had the breakout candle. So if you wanted to wait for that, that was your buy signal, and we're just kind of consolidating. But so far we have a breakout, so I think we're going higher in the miners. And I'm seeing bullish signs in a lot of the individual miners as well. So as far as I can tell, another thing to look at was this trend line right here, this horizontal trend line of 31.54 in GDX. This was major resistance for the bear market. You can see resistance here, 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 and when we broke out, it's been support ever since. So support, 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 and recently even support right here. But recently they dipped below it. So all this price action, let me kind of circle that out. All this price action right here was below that major support line, but you can see they've pretty much snapped back and recovered it. So that's a bear trap as far as I can tell right now. And it was likely going to be a bear trap because we had bullish divergence in the momentum indicators during this time. So as far as I can tell, that move shook out the weak hands, spooked people out of their long positions. But again, that bullish divergence told me that we were likely going to break to the upside, and this was going to be a bear trap. So there, as of right now, bear trap, looking for some more impulsive buying and for these things to continue to move up. Let's take a look at some short trades and some of these stocks that I've been interested in shorting. So here's Tesla. I am still short Tesla, feeling a little bit of pain, obviously, over the last few days. I'm giving it a little room because, again, Tesla is a momentum stock. When the momentum gets going, it just, it can spike higher. But here, and we're seeing kind of parabolic price action where it's just moving straight up. Really no volume. A couple things that are suspect to me. One, we've got really no volume on this move higher. We've got earnings coming up here. Looks like on the 20th. I'll have to confirm that, but this shows earnings coming up on the 20th. So seeing this thing spike into earnings is a little suspicious. The other thing is we got the all-time high sitting right up here. It's about 902.83 intraday all-time high. So I could see us popping just slightly above there, running up, getting up in that area, basically making a new all-time high, somewhere right in 912, 915, somewhere right in there. And that's likely going to happen tomorrow. So that would put in a divergent high if we did that. So you can see here, momentum, there's really no momentum, but basically the new high will be a divergent high in the PPO, and it will be, basically an equal high, which is also a divergent high because price will make a new high in price in the RSI. So negative divergence if we spike up at that point in time here pretty soon, likely right before earnings with a negative divergence, and then earnings will come out, and as far as I can tell, the earnings will be negative, but it's hard to say. It's kind of a roll of the dice on that one. So, I'm going to give it a little more room, see what happens, but I think we're likely going to get rejected right after earnings. Maybe not the day of earnings, but possibly the day after earnings. Things to look at there. If you're not short this thing, well, I think it's probably going to go a little higher at this point. So would I be, I don't know if I'd be interested in shorting it, but maybe look for, I don't know. You might want to wait for after earnings and see how that plays out. Here's a trade idea, a short trade idea. This is GNRC. You can see I've got circled, we have a trend line right here, and I've got it circled all the tags of support. So got 3 there, 4, 5, 1 right there, and then we broke. So you had a sell signal there, followed by more selling. Now they've done a counter trend rally, and they've rallied right into resistance. Now it's slightly above that trend line right now. So I would look for, they might hold it here for a few days. We got earnings coming up in November, so a couple weeks. but I would look for it to likely get rejected here pretty soon. We are making a new high today in price, and yet that high is clearly a divergent high. You can see the momentum, how it's just clearly downtrending on the PPO and the RSI. So we have negative divergence, we have a sell signal, and we have a rally right into trendline resistance, popped above it intraday. We'll see how we close out. You know, they could hold it up here, but I suspect pretty soon we're going to get some sort of a breakdown. So if you want to wait for the breakdown, that's one way to play it. Wait for some sort of a rejection. And yeah, that to me looks like an area that I'd be interested in shorting this thing. For a move down, at this point, if we start to sell down, I would look for a break. You know, I think it's going to break 386.02 and head straight down to about 340.16 as the next level of support. And then a couple long trade ideas, Clorox, CLX. So I'm not interested in being long this thing quite yet, but I think we're getting close to the area where it's going to start to look interesting. So I've got this area circled out. This is major trendline support, and it's going all the way back. I think I have to use the weekly chart just to show it, but it's going back to about the 2011 time frame. So basically, this is your bull market in Clorox CLX. You can see we hit support here, and in a bull market, when you get a tag of trendline support, that's usually, you don't get a lot of those, but it's the most objective time to buy this thing. And you can see as I zoom in, we're coming down into that major support range. So this is where the buyers should be at. Now, one thing I'm looking at on the daily chart is I'm starting to look for some bullish divergence to show up. Where, you know, it looks like we're just starting to get it. You can see, let me get the trend line marked out. You can see we're starting to get it on the PPO there. And, you know, the RSI not so much, but starting to get it there on the PPO. So I think if we dip down to about 158.17, maybe look for a slight undercut of that, you know, a couple days where we just start chopping through that trend line a little bit. Run some stops, that would make sense, and then look for a recovery. So in this area is where I'm going to be interested in going long this thing, potentially for the next leg higher in the bull market. Now, if we break and you get a big impulsive breakdown of this level, then, you know, there's bigger picture things going on. So, and we do have earnings coming out on November 1st, it looks like, so a couple weeks away. So we'll see how that plays out. Maybe this is going to break down before earnings, start to chop around, and then earnings will pop it back above. I don't know, but I know it's the area where I'm starting to get interested in being long this stock. And then moving over to KHC, this thing's just kind of dead in the water. It's just going sideways, not moving around. Clear bullish divergence. As we start to drift lower, we put in bullish divergence. Got a good breakout candle, but we've just got nowhere since. So I'm looking for the other breakout. Maybe it's going to come on earnings. I still like it long, you know, but who knows where earnings, you know, earnings might dip this thing down, hit the trend line again, and then recover. So it's hard to say. I'd like to see this thing start to take off to the upside here pretty soon. Again, the trade idea is to gap fill up here at 47.90. That's kind of the target for this one, and I still like it. Quick review of silver. This is SI Silver Futures. Again, we've got bullish divergence right there on the daily chart. So you can see it's been building for a while on the RSI and the PPO. And we have a bullish falling wedge pattern, something like this. So we continue to it's kind of more like a downward channel. But there's your last divergent low right there. We've got this upper trend line right there. And we've got a couple reactions on that trend line. You can see we're just holding there, right there, over the last couple of days. So I think a breakout's imminent. It's about to happen. Again, we got to wait for it. We need to see that breakout, but I think it's likely. So, it might be interested in some of these silver miners as well. They look kind of interesting. I've been long PAAS for quite a while now. This is the one silver miner that I have right here. Again, this one has bullish divergence. We broke out. This one has a breakout, so it's already broken out. I think we're going higher. bullish divergence on the RSI and the PPO, and a downtrend line that's broken out. So, that because I've owned this one for a little while, and then I'm seeing some signs in some of these other miners and just the gold miners in general. Probably my favorite trade right now as a whole sector. A lot of these look set up to go to the upside. So I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Leave me a thumbs up if you see anything interesting in the charts. I can't keep my eyes on everything. So if you guys see anything, let me know in the comments below. Leave me a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Bye.